All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started with tonight's meeting. Unfortunately, for those who are watching us online, for some, the conference room does not have any video, but y'all can hear us. So I do apologize about that, but we'll go ahead and get started with tonight's meeting. So as we do before every meeting, we'll have a brief moment of silence. And typically we do this just so everybody can have a reset, pray, whatever you like to do during that period of time. I know, one of GCPD's own, one of our own member of the community, Officer Deep, was, unfortunately passed away or died on duty with Gwinnett County PD. So we will have a moment of silence also for him and any of us, any of those have become early ancestors. Going into the new year, we'll just have that brief moment of silence at this time. All right, thank you all for that. All right, so we'll do a quick roll call of the officers that are attending tonight's meeting. So you do have myself, President Paul. We have Assistant, I'm just gonna go in the order as I see them. Assistant Secretary Shanika Walker, Second Vice President John Cox, Youth Advisor Reese Walker, Political Action Committee Chair Ellie Walker, at-large member Ray Hartman. So we will continue with tonight's meeting. First, we'll start with committee reports. So I guess I'll go in the order as I see them close to me. So I yield the floor to our Education Chair, to deliver, and Second Vice President to deliver a report on the Education Committee. Okay.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming out. As said, I am Second Vice President and Education Chair. This is the Education Committee report for January 2026. It was held on January 29th at 7:30 p.m. Myself as chair, attended by myself, VR, I'll just say, you use the initials, VR, DS, RH, and SL Hall. These are members of our committee. Our opening, as normal, we start off with a moment of silence, followed by a roll call, which all present members introduce themselves so that we can get accurate voice recognition for minute keeping. We use I for that, and those minutes are made available to the members. We led an in-depth discussion. We led off with an in-depth discussion addressing the disturbing rise in IEP procedural violations within the district. John Cox, just speak about myself, but we described cases where supports were unjustly removed from students with documented diagnosis resulting in miserable academic regression, emotional distress, and in some cases, unwarranted disciplinary actions. Examples included high-performing students whose IEPs were removed, leading to a 20-point drop in reading performance and math performance. Just to make sure you guys know where I'm coming from with that, at the beginning of the year, they do IRA assessment on kids, and it tells you, what percentile that, and this in particular student, who I think is quite exceptional, meaning that she's gifted as well as have some negative exceptionalities with social emotional regulation that way. But she was in the 98th percentile in reading, and in the 96th percentile in math. She was second grader who was reading on a 6th to 8th grade level. And then they pulled her supports because they thought that just because she's doing well, she doesn't need support. So we could pull the support, but that's not actually how it works. She was doing well because she had the correct type of supports, and that was allowing her to thrive. When they took those supports from her, as we predicted, and as her special eligibility review stated, it was going to cause her to crash, because most kids that are quite exceptional in that particular situation, they still need their supports, but they can thrive with them. And generally, when you take them from them, they crash, especially if you take them from them too early. You'll see that with the case that came out of GSMST that was just in the news, where this is a kid who was autistic and made it and was doing well at GSMST, one of the toughest high schools in the country. And they pulled the supports and he crashed out and bad. So it's been proven to them that that is not the way you do things. And generally what you would do in a case like that, not to go off script, but generally what you want to do in a case like that, when you think someone's proficient enough to be in gen ed without supports, is you pull back, you ramp down those supports slowly to see how they respond to that and see if they can handle it when you start ramping down supports. So you go backwards with the scaffolding, basically. The next case was an inappropriate expulsion due to district failure to conduct a manifest termination review or a functional behavior assessment, or put it in place, a behavior intervention plan in place. And the child without proper educational support reacted to an incident the way he would based on that, based on his diagnosis, and they expelled him for that, although they put him in the inappropriate situation for him without proper supports. They had a 6 months heads up from the school psychologist about all of the supports that should be in place for him, but when he returned to school, there was none in place. And as I said, they put him in a gen ed situation that caused a problem that they kind of set the stage for. That's some parent and member input. RH provided historical and personal insights into systemic racial disparities in IEP implementation, citing examples of white students receiving vocational opportunities while Black students were funneled into low expectation pathways. So what happens is when kids are graduating and they might have an IEP or be autistic, there are sometimes training opportunities where they can go and continue on for a while and get vocational training so that they can learn how to provide for themselves. And those things exist here. And she was saying that it's not offered to everyone, and it's not offered to everyone. I viewed the institute, well, I viewed the center, and the result is that the only way to get there is an IEP committee has to make a recommendation for it. It's closed. I had to get Ed to get me entrance in there because I couldn't call up and just say I want a tour. You have to have special access. So it is a resource that's out there, not necessarily available to everyone. DS highlighted the importance of consistent teacher preparation and access to professional development, noting the lines of flexibility and increasing demands on classroom teachers. VR shared her experience in NYC schools where systems were in place to ensure appropriate IEP documentation and raised concerns about lacking supervisor accountability in Georgia schools. Just to say a little something about that is the problem that we're seeing is, so when you're working an idea, there's a specific way things are supposed to go. There are no skipping steps, right? Any skip of a step is a violation. It's really that plain. It's A, B, C, D, and that's how it's supposed to go. And there's been a lot of skipping steps, and we don't know why those steps are being skipped, but those steps being skipped are being harmful, are very harmful to some of the kids, having them not get the proper diagnosis with the supports that they're supposed to have, and then at the same time pulling resources when they should be adding resources. Some suggest that one of those reasons is because they don't have the number of BCBAs they're supposed to have. That means that people with master's levels that can do the functional behavioral assessments, and the RBTs, which is someone who would work under someone with a BCBA, and they would do the assessments under supervision. Growing concerns and needs for advocate training. There was a consensus on the need to train community advocates, acknowledging the increasing complexity of cases and emphasize building capacity among advocates to handle legal language procedures and strategies for IEP enforcement. So what we were saying there is that there are not enough of us available to help parents understand what's being put before them when they look at these IEPs. So a lot of parents will look at these IEPs and not understand the language. They will be they'll be relying on the IEP team to explain those things. But in some of the cases that I'm working through legal redress, those things are not being explained. So a parent is asked to say yes to a plan for their child, but they don't understand what the diagnosis, the treatment, and the way it's supposed to go. Under IDEA, that's not appropriate. In fact, it's incumbent on the IEP team to explain everything and the other options that go with it. If that's not done, then it's considered a failure to allow the parent the proper opportunity to participate in their child's development. So if you don't fully explain it, then they really didn't get a chance to understand what you were saying, where you were going, and they didn't get a chance to participate. So that's considered a denial. Systemic inequalities and accountability. There was raised concern about desperate expectations across schools and districts, citing college and career readiness targets that vary by race. Well, let's put the college and career, that can be a little more complicated. So I'll just use this. If you go back to January's work session study, you can look at their particular documents that they put out for their progress. And they'll just stay in the area of elementary language arts. So they put up a slide, and what was disturbing about the slide, to me at least, is the expectations. So for whites and Asians, the expectation was 90%. 90%. For Hispanics, it was 58%. For Blacks, it was 68%. What was 68%? So if you're trying, and this was in the area of dealing with the gaps, right? So gaps in education, the gaps between Blacks, whites, Hispanics, so forth and so on. On their documentation, in their slide process, it shows that the expectations are drastically low. So it's a self-fulfilling process. If you have high expectations for whites and Asians, then you should expect you're going to get high expectations for whites and Asians. If you say the floor, the KPI to meet for them, the key performance indicator for how we feel like you did in teaching these kids is that they have to be at a 90% average. That means the teachers have to work hard to make sure those kids come up in a 90% average. When it comes to Hispanics and African Americans, like I said, 58 or 68%. So for me, where I went to school, anything under 70 was failing. So if you say that our target goal this year is less than 70%, and you're doing that, right? Because most people are going to shoot for that and say, I did my job, right? Because I met the key performance indicator. And when you look at the number of years that they go back, so it's 2023, 2024, 2025, you see that the indicator moves maybe a half a percentage point. It's not like they're adjusting it to say we're going to catch up. The target is only moving by 0.5%. So that's not a real goal. And I don't understand why it wouldn't be 90% across the board. Tell me how you
John, I know that sounds rhetorical, but has anybody answered that question? I was ready to ask you that question. Why isn't it one standard?
Bro, I can't tell you. I can't tell you how they do the math, but when you watch it, they try to explain how they do the math. The idea is, well, we're starting here with them because this is where they are, and then we're going to increase it, so forth and so on. And to me, that makes absolutely no sense. When I'm coaching or training kids, everybody can come in where they're at. but the standard is the standard. So if you come in and we do 100 push-ups a day, and you come in, you can't, you just gotta do one more each day, but you will eventually get to 100. That's the way we work. The standard is the standard. If you're gonna be here, this is what we do. So if it's 90%, it should be 90% all the way around. What that tells you though is, this is how you allocate resources. If I have to allocate resources to get 90% over here, it means I have to spend some money over here to make sure. If I'm only asking for 68% over here or 58% over here, am I allocating that much resources over there?
Yeah.
So when you wonder why it's different from what side to what side, I mean, it's just, maybe it's just
That
me,
might be the answer.
but I look at the math.
That's the answer.
And intentionality is some things that people say, but I always feel like unless you are actually doing what you're saying, and what you're saying is performance. I grew up in a town where there was a whole lot of poverty pension organizations that said a whole lot of stuff but never did it. Made a whole lot of promises, got raised a whole lot of money. Never seen anything in the neighborhood that actually had mattered. I see they had ski clubs. Ski clubs couldn't afford skis. So who was the ski club for? That didn't have anything to do with what we were getting money. So when people say that, and we're doing budgets, we're doing this and doing that, but the same target is the same target for the last 5 years. You didn't do anything different. So where's that courage about doing something different? Where's the courage of saying, teachers, on this side of town, we can meet the same 90% as on this side of town. And we're going to give you the resources to get there. Now, I understand. If you're asking somebody to do a year and a half in a year, like you do with gifted kids, you're asking these kids to move, you're asking these teachers to teach a year and a half to get them to move a little faster, to bring it up. Pay a little more. You're asking for more, pay a little more. Provide the resources, provide the supports, use the after school hours, and do what you need to do. But it's unacceptable if it's only moving a half a point, then what's going to look like when they graduate 4 years? When we're talking about elementary, it's the same high school. Look at it, it doesn't move that much. And so if your goal is so low, your expectations are so low, then you have to ask, why is the expectation low on this side of town and not on that side of town? I'm leaving it alone there. But those are the kind of discussions that we have, and that's how we look at the data. We're not letting them tell us what the data says. We have educators on our team with doctors and so forth and so on that can look at the material and help us analyze and see what's really going on, right? And if your money's not being put in the right place, please.
No, I got a question. So where are the centers like in Georgia? Because I know they don't pay for it, but you're entitled to a lawyer or an advocate for the parent on behalf of, your IEP advocacy. Like, so if you're not getting that in the meeting, you can go above that. Like, is there a checks and balances with those like centers that are supposed to provide those support to the parents? I mean, that's what they're supposed to do. They're set up for, but I don't know where they are.
Yeah, that's a real good question because I don't know where they are.
Right.
What I can say to you is when I go, I'll give you an example of what I recently did. When I go to the IEP meetings with parents, right, after doing my homework, right, it's really not that difficult to do. It's time consuming, but it's not that difficult to do because, as I said, the IDEA program is pretty straightforward, and all of the codes and violations and things like that are fairly easy to read. You just got to follow it. And so if I'm looking at an IEP, one of these, we plan as part of, it's in here, we're planning to do, I'm going to put together an IEP with some diagnosis and teach people how to, we're on our team, we're going to try and make sure that we can be what we need to be for the community. That you can come to us and we can walk you through it and help you get there and take it however far it needs to go. I have a couple of cases before the state now that are being investigated for failure to follow procedure. And when I try to, as a personal team member of GCPS, or trying to be a community person and said, hey, look, you make some mistakes here. You violate this rule, and that rule, and we should be able to move this kid to this, to that, to that. They simply told me, share your complaint with the state. So I had to go to the state. Instead of working and seeing that there was a mistake there that's clearly a black and white mistake or something missed, I'll give you an example. If a child has a medical history that impairs their ability to thrive in school, let's just say, and there's some supports necessary, well, under IDEA, they're supposed to have those supports.
Exactly. or they find how they can provide.
They're
Yeah.
supposed to provide those supports, exactly, because it's considered a free and appropriate education for them. And based on the Reconciliation Act as well, the 504, you're supposed to provide the appropriate type of access, you know what I mean? So if their disability is something that's physical and maybe, certain support, support's supposed to be there. If a child has something like say seizures or something like that.
Yeah. It looks like we might need to keep you up here all night, so I'm gonna ask a question that you don't have to answer, but asking before we do. So I remember at the reorganization meeting that first night, we had the longest line was the school, the education line. People want to talk with NAACP about apparently a lot of the issues you're talking about.
Yeah.
So without getting into the weeds, what can be done to draw attention to the problems you're talking about to help resolve some oppression institutionally? Is there any actions, anything going on?
Well, first you gotta have somebody that's willing to come to the table with you. When you point things out, not to be, you point things out to them, the first thing they can't say is, we don't want to talk to you, right? So you gotta have a willing person to be able to make those complaints to, that's going to respond to you in a way that's based on the data, not based on feelings or some other stuff that had anything to do with it. Because the end user is the child. So a lot of parents are getting that. A lot of, well, no, let me be clear again, it depends on what side of town you're on.
Yeah.
Right? Because I can go into certain schools, have a conversation, and immediately we make adjustments because we agree. Because what has to be taken into account is what the parent says, right? So if the parent thinks this is what I'm seeing with my kid, we have a discussion about that. And oftentimes what they don't know is that a lot of parents, a lot of complaints don't get made because it's about the parent not really understanding what's going on. So Ed will tell you sometimes I just sit with the parent and I say, look, let me send you some information. I want you to marinate on that for a minute, and then we're going to have a discussion. And then I tell them, no, this is what it's going. Nothing's really going on wrong. It's just the way it happens. If you want to be more a part of it, then let's discuss how we can make that happen. So I'll go with you to your next meeting and make sure that they understand that there are some things you need intellectual buy-in about. So I can explain to them why the parent's not feeling good about this because they don't understand what's going on, and you need to explain that more. So sometimes it's not about them doing anything wrong. It's about the parent maybe not understanding and wanting to pull back or afraid of labels and things like that. So we have to work on that. So I appreciate that. Yes.
I just want to mention this, and I'm not going to do long. Anyway, but parents have the right to receive a parental rights, their information. Are they speaking about that? Because I have sat in IEP meetings. So some of the things that you're speaking about really surprises me, because I know by law they have to be provided with many different types of resources in their language as well, because we have diverse counties with different languages of spoken. So I'd like to speak with you after, to get more information to find out who's your point of contact and why it's happening to this degree. Because this really surprises me.
You're absolutely right. And I'll tell you one more and I'll move on from this. I'll tell you one more that will surprise you. Parent has the right, and I'm sure you probably know based on what you just said, parent has the right to say stay put. When they don't believe that the direction you're going in is helpful to their child, or they feel like they need more information, they can immediately vote stay put. And that means that you can't change their program until the dispute is resolved. I had a parent vote stay put, and the next day they moved that child out of their IEP and into Gen Ed. Even though they vote stay put, and that's one of the things you can't go, you can't not acknowledge.
I just want to mention is that parents have to be more proactive than we.
Right.
Everyone has to take responsibility in this. The school system cannot do it alone. Parents cannot. So when the school system is sending information to parents, first of all, read it. Number one. Next, if you don't understand something, contact the school, have these conversations. Don't wait when you're finding out your child is being referred and you haven't been checking the progress reports, having communication. So I see it on both sides.
It is.
Because there are some parents that are not accepting responsibility. I'm not saying that's the way they ought to. And there are some educators who have to do a lot more work to be more proactive. So,
No,
I would like to speak with you. It's all about educating our families to let them know their rights, what to do, what not to do, and when to start the questions to be asked when you go to conferences, and how to be more educated and advocate for your child, because we don't want to wait to when a child is being referred to start having a come, well, I didn't know anything about this. Well,
we definitely don't want to wait until a child is put into a situation that causes trauma, and then you have to spend all that time trying to get back that child back, reset that child from the trauma that they experienced in the environment that wasn't helpful to them.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Just quick one.
Mhm.
Based on the example you gave where the child, they said, if you leave them there, stay put, and the school moved in the next day.
Very next day. Yes, very next day.
No, but if, when something like that occurs, is there consequences? Because if there's no consequences, then you got no recourse. That's what it's important, is the consequences.
Yeah, there are consequences to a procedural violation like that, right? But then you have to take it to the Georgia Department of Education to make that complaint, and then it has to be investigated. So it takes a lot of time. And to be honest with you, when you're filling out these complaints, it's laborious. It's not necessarily an easy thing to do. So for a parent who's not an expert, they might, and I think this, I hate to say it this way, but I believe that's what the systems, the hopes, the school system sort of hopes, is that you will get overwhelmed and won't go through with it, right? Because they have lawyers and they have experts and stuff like that they pay for, and they're on file. And for parents, sometimes it can be a little bit daunting. And that's where I've had some of them come to me and actually walk them through what has to be done. And it's like I said, it's straightforward, but it's laborious, and it's a certain format the way it has to be done. And then you have to be able to respond, you need to be able to cite the codes that are violated and all that other stuff. But yes, there is, and if, just to let you know that there was like 153 complaints or something like that, I think last year. And this is not Gwinnett, this is just statewide. But now it's doubled to something like 318. So it's not just Gwinnett, it's something's going on and we don't know what it is. And so by doing these things, we hope we can find a pattern and somebody will come in and fix it. I think it's really resource based, that it's hard to find a lot of people to do some of the things that are supposed to be done and follow the regulations. I'm not sure if there are enough people to find. So those holes are kind of making bad decisions, but I really don't know because I'm not on the inside. Like I said, when I try to have these conversations, shut up. So we'll just leave it there. Last section. Okay, last section on us for closeout was about the grant that had been, a member questioned the grant that had been received for $19 million a few years ago, and whether or not that grant was being used for mental health and supports and things like that. I'm familiar with the person who earned the grant, and I think she's an excellent person, running the department the best way she can. But just like I said, there are some resources that are just hard to come by, like therapists and things like that. They're just kind of hard to come by. And so, you have to kind of look, and we certify a bunch of special ed people and teachers and things like that. And I don't know if that's necessarily something that we should be doing in order to meet the thing, because we've had a lot of complaints about people who've been certified and striking children and other things like that. But there's a lot going on, and it comes to our legal redress department. So, we see some things that maybe a lot of other people don't see. So, but that's the end of my report. Any questions? Thank you. All right.
And I just tied the legal redress committee, since the attorney man's not here. John kind of went through most of the complaints we've been getting in the legal redress committee, which handles all the complaints that our branch gets. And most of them are tied around GCPS. At least that's been, historically, that's always kind of unfortunately been the case since I've been with the branch. And that's been like the last almost 6 years. It did kind of go down. When we transitioned from Will Banks to Dr. Watts. And then it kind of ticked back up since we've been without a superintendent this last, I guess, a year now, we've been without a superintendent. So we have seen an uptick in complaints. So unfortunately, there's been a lot of overlap between education and legal redress in terms of those two committees have been having to work kind of hand in hand because, the complaints haven't been typical what people would think legal redress complaints, which is stuff from the jail or stuff from GCPD or the sheriff department, or even with, some stuff happening with ICE. Overwhelmingly, majority of our complaints have been from the school system, unfortunately. So, legal redress committee, I just touch on it. They do meet every fourth Wednesday at 7:30. Is when that committee meets. So, the next meeting should take place, February 25th, and the education committee meets every fourth Monday at 7:30. So that'll be February 23rd. So that's tying in those two committees. So at this time, Reese looking at me, so I'm gonna let him go next. We got a report. You can count. Everybody looking at me. All right, so youth advisor Reese Walker come up and report.
Mine be fairly quick. We didn't get to do a meeting last month because of the weather, so we just decided to cancel it. But just some updates that the youth is doing. We did do the MLK parade walk, so a lot of youth came out for that. I think they enjoyed themselves even in the cold weather. I was freezing. And then our next event that we're actually doing a little partnership with Kendry Elementary School. They invited us to be a part of their Black History Month, so we're going to come in there and do a couple of things. That being said, if anybody else is like a school teacher or know anybody, we're trying to build out with the community. We still want to just be a name. We actually want to get out there and connect with people. So if you have resources or connections of people in the schools, let me know. This way we kind of reach out, build up relationships, and keep it going. So, and last thing is our next committee meeting is going to be February 23rd. We're moving it to 7 o'clock just because there's some other meetings going on. But that's about it.
I got a question.
Yes.
What are you doing for Black History Month?
So it's actually pretty cool. So one of the teachers out of there, she brought this idea up herself and the school ran with it. So they're doing a little band concert. And then when you walk through the hallway, it's like a whole bunch of like Black History Month items. And then I guess they did some clay setting thing like that as well. They're allowing us to come there and speak a little bit and maybe get some members. And then after that, they actually have a dance team and a step team at that school, which is pretty awesome. I didn't know about that. Like maybe I need to switch my kids over there.
What day?
Yeah. So say again, my sister.
What day?
Oh, that is going to be. That is going to be February 26th, a Thursday. So that's pretty cool. No, it's Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, February 26th. So we got invited to that, and I think it's gonna be a good community event, and hopefully we go from there. So it's not. That's okay.
All right. And if you need to reach our youth advisor, his email address is ycadvisor@gwinnettnacp.org. Again, that's ycadvisor@gwinnettnacp.org. And at this time, I'll call up Ellie Walker from our Political Action Committee to give us a report on the as she's trying to get the key together like that.
All right. There you go. It's been a while to be here. Okay, let's see. So our January, I'm Ellie, Political Action Chair. Our January meeting took place on, we had to keep changing it because let's see, that was MLK Day the day before. So we had it on Tuesday, January 20th. We had I'll just go ahead and do what you did. We had VS and DA and EC and SP come to the meeting, along with myself, President Paul. We had we have a new member or two, well, not NAACP member, but people kind of popping in, seeing what the PAC community is about. So that's good to see. Let's see. So mainly kind of what we're doing right now is kind of prepping for everything happening in 2026. So, it starts off a little slow, but then it's done, and I don't know what happened. So what we're doing now is kind of planning some voter registration drives at some of our kind of known partner high schools, and that includes, who we've reached out to so far is Norcross, Grayson, Central Gwinnett, South Gwinnett, and Shiloh. As of right now, we have a day planned for Shiloh, and we already got a couple volunteers. So that will be happening the 24th, I believe, and that usually takes place during their lunchtime. So, we just have a table with a couple people and see who's eligible to vote, who wants to sign up to vote, that kind of thing. And we'll try and continue that outreach until, end of March, maybe early April, as long as we have that communication going. But again, if anybody has some other high schools that I think we could get into, please let me know. Let's see. We are also, we try to get people to come out to the Day at the Capitol today. Okay, I'm sorry. I was not there. I'm sorry. But for those of you who were there, I hope it was a great experience, because that's always a great experience to be able to engage with other members across the state, and also local legislators, and just be at the Capitol. Being a presence always matters. So we wanted to encourage our members to go out to that. Also, again, I'm doing early recruitment now for anybody who wants to participate in this GOTV season. Our regular roles, we always have canvassing, phone banking, election protection. But also, if that's not really your speed, there has to be something. We are going to do candidate forums. We're going to have some virtual forums, and we're going to have in-person forums. So, if you want to help moderate on a virtual forum, or if you want to help set up in a in-person forum, we're going to try and engage the youth at some of these different forums. And usually, if we're not hosting it ourselves, we're partnering. And so there's something for everybody, honestly, and it gives you a chance to just interact with who's running in these races as well. We also ended up, it's my fault, changing our PAC meeting because of my school schedule. So now our PAC meetings will be moved to the second Sunday of each month at 7:30. With the exception of February, because of Super Bowl Sunday. So now the next PAC meeting will be Tuesday, February 17th at 7:30. But from after February, it will be the second Sunday of each month at 7:30. Also, kind of some upcoming events. Again, we have voter registration, but also May 5th, we are doing an in-person gubernatorial governor candidate forum ahead of the primaries. This will be partnered with the Gwinnett Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, as well as, NCNW, United Ebony Society, League of Women Voters, probably some more rolling in that way. That will be at Hopewell in Norcross. I think I see 6:30. That'll be again in person. There'll be food, and we're still getting confirmations for that. So it should be good. Hopefully, we'll get a lot more. So it will just be an opportunity for you to be able to see who's going to be running for governor. You should probably know that. And May will give you a chance. Now obviously they're all not going to be on the ballot for November, but it's still good to come out and engage with them once a week. What day again? May 5th. I think that's a Tuesday. Maybe, yeah, it's Cinco de Mayo, so come get some tacos and stuff. Then we will also be having, I don't know if it's set the date yet, but, I don't know if y'all remember, we did the town hall in October. September, October? It was October. And because of everything, it was too much happening, so we couldn't get our, like, this time frame. So we're gonna push it to May. May, it should be taking place here. And that was more around engaging a community in engagement, why you should vote, why that matters. And we'll have a lot of partner organizations with that as well, but that'll be coming up in May. So those are multiple opportunities for people to kind of get involved ahead of GOTV season. But as always, we're going to be having multiple candidate forums, probably governor, well, we'll be having governor, Congressional District 13, Board of Education. I'm trying to convince President Paul for Attorney General. Just some of those are in person, some are virtual. So it's kind of like where you want to have that people interaction versus having it on person where everybody can stream. And we always stream it anyways, but it's just a big year for Georgia to where we need to be talking to all these people that are running and asking them what they're going to do for us. So yes, also, please remember to check your voter registration status all day, every day, once a week. Make sure you're in the green. Make sure your friends are in the green. They are continuously, I don't know if y'all pay attention to, there's just too much to pay attention to right now, but, the SAVE Act has passed the House, going to the Senate, it might not go, but we never know. There's always surprises. And that was what came out last year, where they are trying to make it where you need to show proof of citizenship to register to vote and to vote. So instead of just showing your ID, you now need to have your ID, or you would need to have your ID plus your passport or your birth certificate. And that is not on hand for 20 million people in the country. So that's just complete voter suppression at its finest. And if that passes, I don't even know. There's a lot to do because a lot of people don't have those documents. If you don't have the passport, that's a lot of people. And then where's your birth certificate? And then if your name is different from your driver's license to your birth certificate, well, then you still can't vote. So you see how
and a lot of women change their name.
Exactly. How many people that will affect just for the sake of proving that you're an American citizen. So that's one that we are just keeping tabs on to pay attention to, that we can shut those things down. That's what I got. Then any questions? It's a lot. Anything? Okay, look at that. Good stuff.
Good job.
All right. I'm gonna pull up a report for our health committee chair, Mel DeWeese. So the health committee, well, before I move on to health, let me go back to the back for a second. So as Ellie Walker stated, we do got upcoming candidate forum for gubernatorial. We will do attorney general. But there'll probably be more in the fall. I'm not sure if Attorney Miller has, or State Representative Miller has an opponent for the primary, and I'm not sure the Republican person has an opponent for the primary. I think, to my knowledge, they're both running unopposed. So typically, if it's a primary race and nobody's running against that person, we don't really do a forum just for an individual. But in the fall, when there's going to be contenders on both sides, we will do one for attorney general. And we'll probably have something to talk more about that, because that, in my opinion, is equally as important as the governor's election that's coming, not only in the primary, but also in the fall as well. But as she's already laid out the number of forums, just stay up to date, follow us on social media. Again, I apologize for those of you watching online. Y'all keep telling me there ain't no video. Unfortunately, for some reason, your tax dollars, they couldn't give us no working cameras. So please send your complaints to Gwinnett County about why they couldn't get no video in their conference room this month. So, moving along, I'm gonna go on to now the health committee. They meet every fourth Thursday at 7:30. And I'm gonna pull up their report from their January, meeting here. Bear with me a second. A lot of stuff coming from their meeting.
Hey, President Paul, maybe those kids might want to eat some of their pieces.
Yeah, y'all welcome to get some pizza, for sure.
Those kids want to eat.
If y'all welcome to eat. So a couple things from the health committee meeting. Number one, we do have an upcoming blood drive that we partnered with the Red Cross and Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church, which will take place on March 28th, which is Saturday. It's the last Saturday of March, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Our goal is to get 25 people to donate blood. That's only about 10% roughly of our membership to donate blood. So 10% of our just members, get just Gwinnett County, just our members to donate blood, we'll reach our goal. So I am asking all our members, to come out, give a little blood. The Red Cross will give you, I think, like some gift cards and stuff like that. It's like $15, $20, something like that for donating. So definitely please come out, donate blood for a good cause. I think most of the donation is going towards like sickle cell patients and other patients that need blood transfusions. You also will get a free A1C check as part of that process. So they'll check and see if you got high A1C and maybe approach you being a diabetic. So that will happen as well. We're looking to have some other health vendors participate and be there as well to provide some other resources. But the goal is definitely for us to get you all to donate blood. So please come out, do this for a good cause. I as president, I also will be, not only encouraging you all, but I'll be one of the people giving blood as well. So I ain't asking you to do nothing. I'm not leading the charge as well. So asking all our members, friends, partners, and other community partners to definitely come out and definitely donate blood. Like I said, again, it's March 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you go to our events page on our Facebook page, you'll see the date and time. There's a registration link where you can sign up, or you can pull up our flyer and get the link out there to sign up. And I think we did put the link in the description. And so it'll be more social media posts around that and about that as we get closer and closer to that event and over the next few days. So definitely once y'all see the link, please sign up and register to definitely give blood for a good cause.
Did we ever make a decision on Thursday training and CPR training?
Am I on that?
Yeah, I remember talking to Denise. He said he needed. No. Okay.
Another thing that came out of the health committee is they had two targeted initiatives that they wanted to do. And I'm trying to pull that up now. It was two targeted initiatives that they wanted to do as part of a NACP program in partnership with the national office. The national office had a sort of local branch project that they wanted our different health committees to do. One was around physical health, one was mental health. And they did vote for that. I'm trying to pull it up, but I do not see that in Brother Luis's report. Double check just to make sure I didn't miss it. So I don't have that. Oh, here it is. It was a Know Your Numbers mobile screening pop-up was the number one. And then it was a Black Minds Matter Community Healing Circles were the two initiatives that the committee voted on to do this year. So I think the national office have taken down their initiative from May of 2025. So hopefully in May of 2026, if they put a new initiative up around health, we'll be able to apply for those funds to do both of these two initiatives. And we'll have more information on that as that actually materializes into something. We'll put out some more information. But I know Both things were centered around some of the health disparities in Gwinnett County. Gwinnett County has some of the highest, fortunately, diabetes, some of the highest in terms of hypertension among Black residents in Gwinnett County when compared to the state. And these were numbers we got from GNR 2 years ago. It was back in, around the end of 2024. We got those numbers from them. And so we're trying to put together some initiatives over the next 3 years that kind of target those things. And so a lot of things you'll be seeing from the health committee as we partner with different funders to do different local initiatives will be around cardiovascular health. I think Alzheimer's was another one that was high among the Black community in Gwinnett, to the Black residents across the state of Georgia. There's going to be some initiatives around that, but right now we're kind of focusing on the cardiovascular right now. So you'll be seeing different initiatives from the health committee over the next 2 to 3 years that'll be focused on trying to get those numbers down and bringing more awareness to that. The next health committee meeting will take place on February the 26th at 7:30. And they meet every fourth Thursday of the month at 7:30. And any questions around any of that? All right, hearing none. Only other thing is we will probably have a health resource fair that'll be more focused, not just around the blood drive, around other things. But I think that's going to probably take effect either in the second or third of the year. That's one thing I know Denise wanted me to point that out, because he said he has a number of different partners that want to partner with us about doing a resource fair. So just be able to look out for more correspondence about that. But for now, we definitely want you to participate in the blood drive. I think our communications member Erica got a little stringy, little ticker going about the blood drive at the bottom of the screen for those of you watching at home. So definitely please sign up for the blood drive, which is, I think the link is www.redcrossblood.org.
redcrossblood.org.
redcrossblood.org. Please sign up. All right. And AXO unfortunately did not have a meeting in January, but they do meet every third Sunday at 6:30 p.m. So just an update from our AXO chair, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight due to she had a little injury. So I told her take it easy, take care of herself, and get herself back up and running. But just an update on AXO is our Art and STEM committee. Well, AXO stands for that's what the committee is. The acronym stands for Afro Academic Cultural Technological Scientific Olympics. So basically it's our Art and STEM competition where we host local competition amongst the high school students in Gwinnett County for them to compete in art and STEM. And then those gold medal winners that win locally go on to the national to compete at the national level where they can win different scholarships, things like that. This year, our convention is in Chicago, so that's also where the National AXO Committee will take place. So as far as that's concerned, we're looking to host at least 2 competitions here in Gwinnett County. She's still trying to finalize the locations of where those competitions will be. So just look for more correspondence. Also, we send out a flyer over the next probably week or 2 to donate to AXO. Please support AXO because all proceeds will go towards helping, the travel for these kids to go to the national office, any equipment we need to help them purchase to properly compete in the AXO competition, any lodging, and also food, because we want to give them a little stipend while they're down there, because they're going to be down there for at least almost a week, I think a total of 5 days. And so once we send that link out, QR code, please donate to AXO, become a monthly donor to AXO, because like I said, that money goes a long way in supporting the work that they're doing. I think I covered all of our committees. Oh, we do 2 more. Freedom Fund committee. So as far as our banquet, nothing's changed. We're going back to the Beaufort Community Center, which will be on September 19th, which is the 3rd Saturday in September. As far as an update on that, we're just trying to finalize guest speakers and also our honorary chair for the banquet. So once those details are finalized, we will release them, but we will be back at the community center September the 19th for our Freedom Fund banquet. This is our annual fundraiser. All NACP branches have to do one in order to fund the work that we do. So this is our annual fundraiser. We'll be back at the Beaufort Community Center. So look for save your dates, flyers and things like that coming out over the next probably 2 to 4 weeks. And, get your tickets early because, once that early bird special ends, it's going to be gone. So save your money, get a little taxi for that, at least about maybe $100 towards the banquet. I'm giving y'all a rough estimate what I think the ticket prices would be towards the banquet. Or more, our treasurer said, or more for the upcoming banquet. As far as the committee, we still do need some people to serve on some different subcommittees for the Freedom Fund committee. And I'm going to pull that up really quick right now. They meet every second Monday at 7:30. And of course, all our committee meetings are virtual. A couple of committees we do need some assistance on. So if you are a member, one of the committees will be the awards program and entertainment committee. That committee is responsible for setting up our run of show, coordinating our honorees, assisting us in booking our entertainment, as well as working with our AXO students, the students that are going to be participating in AXO, and getting those things lined up, setting up the scripts and rehearsals in preparation for the banquet. We do need some members to serve on our ticketing, guest, and hospitality committee. The subcommittee for that, you'll be handling and managing the tickets, although the tickets is managed through our online platform for Zephy. Pretty much your goal will be, if you're serving on that subcommittee, is just to make sure any of our table hosts, they have all their people at their particular table and helping us coordinate, getting those table hosts, getting their guests lined up at the correct table. You'll also be responsible for coming up with a written reporting system of both pre and post event reporting on our ticket sales, as well as preparing any gift bags and any sponsorship deliverables at the table. So that's and then 2 more committees we need some people on is the auction and raffle committee. So basically that committee will be responsible for curating the auction and the giveaways, creating the QR codes and pledge cards for our auction and raffle. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as that ties into the membership committee. And then finally, production and staging management subcommittee. We're responsible for setting up the stage queue, managing the mic, making sure we got good lighting and sound, and then making sure our program is staying on schedule. I think last year we had an electronic sort of banner. So you'll kind of be responsible, make sure that banner don't go out like it did last year, and make sure that banner stay lit, as well as making sure, testing our audio and video throughout the event. And so those are the 4 subcommittees that we still need some more members to help participate in. So if you are interested in volunteer for any of those subcommittees, please email Freedom Fund Chair. Again, it's Freedom Fund Chair @NACP.org. Again, it's Freedom Fund Chair @NACP.org, or send an email to the secretary and she'll send you the link to sign up for that subcommittee. Any questions around those 2 committees before I move on to our final committee? None. All right, membership committee. They meet every first Thursday at 7:30. 2 updates came out of the membership committee. One being that we will have trying to pull up the date. So we will have the membership orientation on April the 11th at 10 a.m. to be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And that's again, April 11th. So for anybody that may have joined our organization from April 2025 till April 2026, we invite you to come to that membership orientation. We'll provide we'll go over the local bylaws, the national bylaws, the Constitution, and get an introduction into some of the subcommittees that we presented tonight and when they meet. as well as be able to ask any additional questions about the branch. So the membership committee has agreed to host that orientation. It'll be all virtual. So look for a link to come out to register for that event probably the next few weeks, as we work to finalize those details. The membership committee also agreed on some material that I'm working with our communications team about getting out about our branch. So as we do our membership drives, waiting for those details to get finalized. Once we've had a chance to look at that material, we'll start setting up different membership drives. Like I said, they meet every first Thursday at 7:30 p.m. If you're interested in serving on that committee, again, reach out to the secretary at acp.org, and she will get you the link to get you plugged into that committee. We also do have an opening for membership chair. So if you're interested in chairing our membership committee, there is an opening right now. You can reach me, President Paul, president@gwinnett.nacp.org if you're interested, and we can talk offline about you serving as the chair for that committee. That ends all of our committee reports. Any questions?
You want to have a check report?
Okay. All right. So, can I get a motion from the floor to accept all our reports, except our finance report? Since this is a live stream, we do not do our finance report publicly, since it is open to the public. But if you are a member, like a copy of the finance report for the branch, please, again, email the secretary at gwinnett.nacp.org. Once she's had a chance to verify your membership, then she will contact the treasurer about sending you a copy of that report. So can I get a motion to accept all committee reports, suspend the reading of the finance report since this is a public forum? Anybody on the floor?
I make a motion that we accept the committee reports as read. Sending the finance report for executive committee, allowing others to request it if you remember.
Second.
All right, motion given by Second Vice President John Cox, seconded by at-large member Ray Harvey. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting the reports as read, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, it is unanimous. All right.
We need to make a motion to accept some of these.
We get that. You jumping too fast. So now at this time, I'm gonna move forward with old business. So can I have a motion from the floor to accept the minutes from our January general meeting, suspend the reading of those minutes, since that is recorded. Anybody can get a motion.
I make a motion to accept the January minutes, and suspend the reading of them.
All right, motion given by PAC Chair Ellie Walker to accept our minutes from last month's meeting and suspend the reading of those minutes. Can I get a second?
I second.
Seconded by Second Vice President John Cox. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting the minutes from last month's meeting, say aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. So old business. First of all, I want to thank all of the volunteers from the MLK parade. I know it was cold. I was cold. I'm sorry I had y'all out there so early. Blame President Pratt from Young Evidence Society told me to have y'all out there early. Put this on you, President Pratt. We was out there about what, 10 o'clock? Yeah, about 10. So I apologize. Next year, I'm gonna tell y'all I'll be there about 11, 11:15.
I like to be early, was out there earlier.
Yeah, some people was out there at 9:30 because they trying to be even more proactive. So I'm sorry about y'all being in the cold, but it was a great, we had a good time. I'm gonna blame President Pratt. Hopefully he watched this tape. I'm gonna blame him, but I talked to him later. But it was great to partner with the United Evidence Society on the parade. It's a great event, and we're gonna talk about some things because there was a lot of different activities I think happening, especially in Lawrenceville that day. So I'm gonna try to, since I know all these people and I'm in all these spaces, I'm gonna try to coordinate that with the parade next go round because I feel like we could have kind of combine some of those events into
Gotta come.
one big event and kind of had everything kind of play off each other. So, because I know my church had a program that was, I think, right after the parade. So we'll have that conversation. I talked to these different organizations offline and try to make sure we can coordinate all these different events and roll it into one big day to celebrate Dr. King. But definitely want to shout out all the volunteers that bear the cold. There's some people here tonight, Teresa. I see you. And thank you for the gloves for my kids, you know. Yes, I appreciate you all being there and volunteering and marching with us on that day. We had a beautiful MLK banner. I try to get some of the little sticks for it to make it easier to hold in that wind for next year. But thank you all for that. As I stated earlier, and I went over already, moving on to the next agenda item, we need some members to participate in the subcommittees on Freedom Fund. I've already went through those different subcommittees that we need help. So we ask you to go ahead and take advantage of it now. We will have a volunteer, of course, to help with setup and takedown as we get closer to the event. But right now, we do need some people to help us with the planning. There will be some incentive with you serving on the committee. Key word in that is serving on the committee, not signing up and we don't hear from you in months and you ain't did nothing. So there will be some incentive as far as discounts for our members for the banquet, but there will be additional incentives for those of you who are helping us actually plan and getting involved with planning the event. Key word, helping us and serving and actually participating in terms of planning for that event. So that window will close as we get about 6 months out from the event, which was around maybe March, April, as far as us taking in new members to help us plan it. Because once we get to like March or April, whoever we got on the subcommittee that's helping, on the Freedom Fund committee that's helping us plan the event, those are going to be the people we go in the planning the event. And that's just because, again, we don't need anybody new coming on, throwing things off track from things that people do, putting in their work, planning this event, and then somebody new want to blow it up and do their own thing. So we kind of learned our lesson, you learn as you go, as they say. And so if you're going to serve on this particular committee, we actually join between now and April Freedom Fund meeting, because once we get into May, June, and July, we're going to stick with the folks we got. And the only help we'll need is if you want to volunteer to help us decorate day of the event, to help us take that out there still here. Any questions around that? Okay. As Madam Chair stated earlier, we did have Day at the Capitol. Every year around this time, our state NAACP, the Georgia State Conference, or better known as Georgia NAACP, asks all the branches across the state of Georgia to meet at the Capitol to have Advocacy Day. It's a great event. We had a good turnout. They got a chance to meet with some of the state legislatures that kind of popped in and out of the event. Fortunately, I didn't get there till a little bit later because I had work today. But great event as always. I did post some pictures online. I'm sure you can see on the Georgia NAACP Facebook and Instagram page photos from today's event. So for those of you who did show up, whether you was in Gwinnett or even outside of Gwinnett, we thank you all for coming and supporting that event. Like I said, big event. Appreciate you all coming out. I think eventually we're probably going to do something specifically for Gwinnett, but that's something long term. Me and Madam Chair have to sit down along with some of the other executive committee members and plan how we're going to do that. Probably we'll do something in partnership with another organization, just because I feel like there's no need to reinvent the wheel. If somebody's already got a space and they already got an outline, we can just partner with them and just make it a NAACP and whatever other partner organization event at the Capitol. So we'll have those talks offline in preparation for 2027. But this is a big election year, and I'll talk more about that later. Any questions on Advocacy Day? Okay. New business. Want to reinforce, like I said, the blood drive, March 28th from 10 a.m. to 2. Like I said, please come out. 25 donors is our goal to reach. So that's 25 people donating blood. like I said, that's only 10%. I think I'm doing the math right here, 10% of our membership. So just 10% of y'all that are NACP members give blood, we'll reach that quota. So I'm asking all our members to donate blood and the community at large to donate for a good cause. It's very dear to me because I lost my sister due to sickle cell anemia. So anytime, we're doing stuff like this, like I told them, they didn't have to really sell me on partnering with them with it. I was 100% in. So, and I know sickle cell anemia is something that's rampant through the African American community. So donating this blood is for a very good cause. I'm sure you got family members or friends who, either struggling with sickle cell or maybe may transition because of sickle cell anemia, or maybe even just have the trait. So please give the blood. Please donate. If you're healthy enough to do it, please do it. I know a lot of people don't like needles. Just close your eyes like I do and say a little prayer and let them stick you. It's only going to take a few minutes. By the time you get through praying, the nurse will be done taking your blood. So please donate for a good cause, good worthy cause. Like I said, it'll be a Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church in North Cross from 10 a.m. to 2, March 28th, which is on a Saturday. Any questions around that? And we'll have other vendors, like I said, I'm in talks with these now, but having some other vendors there. We may have some mental health resources and things like that and other health resources. And like I said, they will be doing glucose checks, things like that while you're there. Any questions around that? All right. Candidate forms. So, like as Madam Chair already stated, we're going to have a number of meet the candidate forms. Gubernatorial, we invited because it is the primary. The goal is to try to separate it. We just working out the details with Gwinnett Deltas on whether their bylaws allow them to do a form where we do Democrats first and Republicans second. Same night, we're going to try to do it from 6:30 to 8:30, but the goal is, or at least the vision is, to try to have the Democratic candidates go first, since those candidates are competing against each other for just that one spot. Republican candidates go second, and we may reverse that order and just do one with them. So once we confirm with them that their bylaws allow them to do it the way we envision it to be done, then that'll be the format. Otherwise, it may just turn into more of a not necessarily a Q&A style form, but more of a form where we just hear from all the different candidates. So we'll see. Stay tuned. We're still fleshing out the details, but the goal is to do it on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, Tuesday at 6:30. We will provide food and non-alcoholic beverages for you all if you all come out. When you all come out, there will also be a Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church when that forum happens. We will host the Congressional District 13 candidate forum for the Democratic primary. That forum, we have not set a date for that yet. I think it's like 7 people running, state representative and award NACP Freedom Fund award winner Jasmine, state representative Jasmine, I'm gonna say Clark. Jasmine Clark. I know Jasmine Clark is one of those people running. That's current Congressman David Scott seat, who's also still running for re-election. Everton Blair, former school board member. I'm just trying to name some of the people in that race. I think Heavenly from Marriage Medicine is all I know. What's her last name?
K-I-N-S.
Kent Kimes is running for that seat. So it's a bunch of people running for that seat. I'm not sure if there's any Republicans running on the opposite side, because that is a sort of what they call safe district, which means whoever comes out the winner in the Democratic primary is gonna pretty much win that fall, just because of how the map is drawn. So we're trying to highlight that because that's a big chunk of Gwinnett County, overwhelmingly. So we will have a candidate forum on that. Once we know who are the candidates running for school board, we will look to partner with our youth council on doing a candidate forum. With that, hopefully we can do it at Gwinnett College. Really hope, because I would love to see some of our college students come out and see Again, a lot of them attended Gwinnett County schools, so they can hear from the candidates that's running on the school board. Now they got opportunity to actually elect those candidates. So, we're gonna do one on the judicial, elections. We have some Superior Court races, state court races that are coming up, this fall, and judicial. They will not be on the ballot in November. It's only on the ballot in spring. It's like the school board. So just be on the lookout. More information will come out. Once we get past qualifying, then qualifying ends the first week of March. Once we get to about the second, third week in March, we'll have some definitive dates. We just have to see who all is gonna put their name in the hat, and some people kind of waiting right up to the deadline to say they're gonna run. Once we get some clarity on that, we'll move forward with those names. And then, of course, in the fall, we're gonna shift focus to, like I said, Attorney General and some other elections in the fall. We'll talk about that more in the fall. I will say we will be putting out early a sign-up list for door-to-door canvassers. So if you got high school age kids, college age kids, you know, that like to knock on doors, because I know a lot of y'all who are older and do all that walking. So there will be an opportunity for them to get paid and do a good cause by signing up to knock on doors and do some canvassing with us. There's probably going to be 2 get out the vote campaigns. One of the adult branch will do. I'm sure the youth council is going to have their own get out the vote campaign. So we'll be targeting counties in Gwinnett. There may even be some opportunity where we have to leave Gwinnett like we did in 2024, travel outside of the county to do some, not gonna do some of the rural areas. But definitely sign your kids up, take advantage of that as we put that information out. We'll provide virtual training, make sure they're prepared when we get out there and knock on doors this fall. Questions around any of that? Okay. So at this time, as we get toward the end of our meeting, I do want to move our executive committee meeting. Since this weekend is, you know, Valentine's Day weekend, I know a lot of y'all gonna be with your significant other this weekend because Monday is a holiday. So can I get a motion from the floor to move our executive committee meeting from February 15th to February 22nd at 7:30 p.m. same time?
Yeah, motion to move the executive meeting on the 15th to 22nd.
All right. Motion from Treasurer Princess Hawkins to move our meeting to Sunday the 22nd for the executive committee. And I get a second. Seconded by Youth Advisor Reese Walker. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor accepting to move our executive committee meeting, say aye. Aye. Any nays? All right, it's unanimous. So this is our 117th anniversary as an organization with the NAACP. So historic event, 117 years. We are the oldest civil rights organization in the country. The Gwinnett branch has been around since 1972, and our anniversary is in April. I think it's the 10th. I gotta go back and look. It's in my notes. But as far as the national and NAACP as a whole, February 12, 1909 was when this organization was founded. Again, 2026 is an important year. I can't emphasize enough this year. I would say it's more important than 2024 election. Mainly because when you have a hostile federal apparatus, the state can serve as a firewall to protect us in terms of law, in terms of suing the federal government when they have overreach. Right now, we see we got a president that's willing to go into counties and take ballot boxes, you know, without any real reason other than just making something up, pulling something out of his behind, and just wanting to do it. So we need some allies in the Georgia, in the Golden Dome, in downtown. I mean, that's just the bottom line. We need allies in the governor's mansion. We need allies in the state senate. We need allies, state representatives. We need allies on the court. We need allies for the attorney general. Again, I talked about this at our last meeting. you know, and even at what I remember at Large Ray's meeting, you know, when we went out and advocated for the Lewis twins who were murdered up in Bell Mountain, we reached out to the governor, we reached out to the attorney general to investigate their mysterious death and heard nothing back from either entity, which was disappointing. And we understand that we got a lame duck governor who's not running. Again, he's turned out. We have an attorney general that's running for governor, who's, like I said, totally checked out. When we had the young lady that came to us who was shot through a closed door locally, we asked the attorney general to investigate that, or at least look into the case, look at the history, and see, you know, was there something that could have been done by our local DA to investigate that case? It fell on deaf ears. So when I say we need allies in these seats. So it's very important that anybody that's in your home that's eligible to vote, make sure they register. Go to www.mvp.sos.ga.gov. Again, www.mvp.sos.ga.gov. Check your status. Make sure, you know, you're still active in the system. If you're not active, go ahead and re-register to vote, because this election is an election we just cannot afford to sit. Right now, you know, there's a lot of hostility towards this current federal administration. And what I'm hoping is, as we see these huge, massive No Kings rally, that those same people will be marching to the polls in the fall. There's a reason why the current felon in chief do not want to have an election this fall, because I think they know that there is going to be taken out at the ballot box. But, you know, nothing's assured. You know, we just can't depend on how people feel and hope that trickles down into November. We have to make sure that we leave no stone unturned. I know as an organization, we're going to do our part by knocking on as many doors as humanly possible that we can, hiring and grabbing as many volunteers, paid staff as we can to knock on these doors and make phone calls and send text messages. But I just want people to understand that we had an inflection point in our country. And depending on how that November election, you know, what happens, will determine the direction. You know, I'm gonna focus on Georgia right now because that's mostly what's on the line for us. It's gonna determine the direction that the state of Georgia is gonna go. Like I said, this is a big year in Georgia. For people that don't understand how politics work, the governor is the state version of your president. They make all the executive decisions for the state. So they make all the key appointments for the different heads of different departments, whether it's the health department, whether it's, you know, all the different positions in the state, they make those appointments. Who sits on the state Supreme Court when there's a vacancy? The governor's the one that makes those, to fill those decisions. They get an appointment of who sits on the state board of elections, who makes state laws for how the elections go. So again, the governor has a lot of power. State attorney general has a lot of power. You see what Letitia James is doing in New York. We need some of that energy here in Georgia. You know, again, if we had an ally at the state attorney general's office, maybe we could have got the Lewis twins case reopened and investigated. We see the sheriff that from Towns County was recently, I think he was indicted on charges, which we still haven't, you know, I don't think the governor has released what the charges are all about, but I know he's been indicted for some type of corruption. So we know it's some funny business going on, but yet the governor nor the state attorney general wanted to reopen these young men's cases. So when I say we need allies in these elected seats. And so this is not an election we can afford to sit out. So please make sure when we have these different events like the upcoming town hall, we're gonna try to have one in May. It'll be, I think, in Liburn. And we're gonna have another one here in Lawrenceville, which will be downstairs in the auditorium in October, which we talk about why it's important to vote. Make sure y'all get everybody, get your people to come out, especially young people, get the young people to come out to these events. When we're doing these candidate forums, get them to come out because this is, like I said, one of the most important election years in my opinion, of our lifetime. And we need to try to maximize the vote this year. So that being said, floor is open for questions, comments.
A lot of people don't know, but Karen Bennett, no longer has her seat in District 94.
Mhm.
So there's an election coming up. I think early voting begins next week. So that's an important, election as well. I think there may be 3 candidates, one of which is Kelly Couts, out of Gwinnett. So that was coming up beginning next week.
In what area of Gwinnett is that?
It's part of Gwinnett and DeKalb.
The cat, more like the South Gwinnett area.
What cities? I'm just saying for the audience listening online. I know it's that Stone Mountain area, Tucker.
I can't recall,
But most of it is in the cat.
Okay.
but part of it still, yeah,
It's part of this area.
in Gwinnett.
It's definitely doing that too.
And for those who listen online, we're talking about a state representative position. Karen Bennett had to step down from her position due to some things happening. And so it opened up a special election for her seat for this year's primary election. Or election, actually, just.
It's the
It's a
election.
regular election. Okay.
Yeah, it's special election.
Special election.
Yeah.
And whoever wins that seat, I'm assuming they're gonna serve up until May. And then there'll be another election for the regular 2-year term in the fall.
I'm not sure how that
I think
works.
they-
I thought that was going to be it. I don't think.
Okay,
there were
that's
other-
what I'm thinking. But they gotta run
They,
it.
they run, yeah, they have to be reelected
Okay,
on the ballot in November.
Okay. That's fine. All right, anybody else? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, just another thing, I'm a proud mother. My daughter, who is a Hollywood makeup artist, is one of 5 nominees for the NAACP Image Awards.
Oh,
Big crowd.
you gotta give her a name. Everybody give her a name.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So her name is Alyssa Hudson. And she is the department head for Bel Air, Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv and the reboot of that. They're up against Chief War with Jason Samoa. They're up against Highest to Lowest with Denzel Washington. They're up against Sinners with Michael B. Jordan. And they're up against All's Fair with, I think, Glenn Close and Kim Kardashian and DC. It's a lawyer show, so they're so
Okay.
yes, and I told her she
Still
only has
conversation.
1 mother, so I will be her +1. She better stop playing. No boyfriends allowed. 1 mama, that's it.
All right, anybody got anything else before we wrap up tonight's meeting?
Congratulations.
All right, so our next general meeting will be March the 12th at 7:30 p.m. We'll be right back at the Gwinnett Justice Administration Building. I think they're moving us to conference room C. So this is, for those who are here with us live, we in A. C is the last conference room in the back, so you gotta walk past here and hang a right, and it's the very last one in the back. I think A will be occupied. So we'll be in C. For those who watching online, I'll make sure they got their video working before we start, because I'm not sure what happened to the cameras in here. I know they're doing some remodeling at the courthouse, so at the courthouse, so in the conference room. So I'm not sure if that knocked the cameras off, somebody hit something, knocked the video off, but thank y'all for listening live. Meetings adjourned, and I will see y'all in the Gwinnett County streets. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.